The night sky above the Johnson Space Center in Houston was clear and filled with stars. Dr. Alan Wright stared at the computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The data didn't make sense. Something massive was moving through the outer solar system, and it wasn't following any natural orbit. "You need to see this," he called to his colleague, Olivia Martinez. She rolled her chair across the observatory floor and squinted at his monitor. "That can't be right," she said, adjusting her glasses. "Run it again." Alan did. The results were the same. Over 50 objects, each larger than an aircraft carrier, had just passed Neptune's orbit and were heading inward. 12 hours later, every major observatory on Earth had confirmed the findings. 24 hours later, the President of the United States addressed a nervous world. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her face solemn on screens worldwide, "I must inform you that we are not alone in the universe. An alien fleet has entered our solar system and is approaching Earth. We don't yet know their intentions, but we are taking all possible precautions." She didn't need to mention precautions. People could see the military mobilizing in every country. Old enemies put aside differences as the strange fleet grew closer. For the first time in human history, every nation faced the same unknown threat. On the 7th day after discovery, the aliens broadcast their first message. It came through on all frequencies, in perfect English and every other major language. "On Earth, people of the insignificant planet you call Earth, we are the Draconian Empire, rulers of 300 star systems and conquerors of 1,000 worlds. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 30 Earth days to surrender all governance to our incoming representatives. Resistance will result in your extinction. This is not negotiable." The message was accompanied by footage of other worlds being destroyed by weapons humanity could barely comprehend. Energy beams that vaporized entire cities, swarms of drones that stripped planets of resources in days. In the Pentagon's Emergency Command Center, General Richard Boyd slammed his fist on the table. "They expect us to just roll over and die?" "Sir, their technology is centuries beyond ours," said a young analyst. "The energy readings from just one of their ships exceed our entire global power grid." "I don't care if they can juggle stars," Boyd said. "We're not surrendering Earth without a fight." At NASA, Dr. Alan Wright and Olivia Martinez worked without sleep, analyzing the Draconian ships. "Their hulls have a strange organic component," Alan noted, passing his findings to the military. "Almost like their technology is partially alive. Which means it might have biological vulnerabilities," Olivia added. Across the country, in a classified facility beneath the Nevada desert, Dr. Greg Nichols led a team of biologists examining the Draconian broadcast for clues about their physiology. The aliens appeared reptilian, with scaled skin and vertical pupils in their yellow eyes. Their environmental suits suggest they prefer higher temperatures and different atmospheric composition than Earth, Dr. Nichols told the Emergency Scientific Council. "That could be useful." Commander Frank Collins of the Navy SEALs was assigned to lead a reconnaissance mission once the Draconians came within Earth's orbit. "We won't know their weaknesses until we get a closer look," he told his team as they trained. "This won't be like anything we've done before." Meanwhile, cultural anthropologist Laura Bennett was brought in from her university position to work with military intelligence. "If we're going to have any chance against them, we need to understand how they think," she explained. "Every society has blind spots and cultural assumptions." 17 days after their first message, the Draconians sent a smaller vessel toward Earth. It took up position in orbit, and a single shuttle descended to land at the designated meeting point in the neutral territory of Switzerland. The world watched as Ambassador Krelthak emerged from the craft. His 7-foot frame was covered in iridescent green scales. A translator device hung around his neck. "I bring the formal terms of your surrender," he announced to the gathered world leaders and billions watching via broadcast. "The Draconian Empire is generous to those who accept their place willingly." The American president stepped forward. "We appreciate your offer, Ambassador, but Earth is not surrendering. We propose peaceful contact and cultural exchange instead." Krelthak's vertical pupils narrowed. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. In my 300 years serving the Empire, no species with your limited technology has ever refused incorporation. It would be suicide. Then you've never met humans before, the President replied. The days that followed were a flurry of activity. The Draconian ambassador remained on Earth, clearly puzzled by humanity's defiance. He had expected immediate surrender from such a technologically inferior species. Laura Bennett observed the ambassador closely. He's genuinely confused by our resistance, she told General Boyd. I think the Draconians have only encountered two types of species before, those more advanced who they avoid, and those less advanced who they conquer easily. So we're the first to tell them no despite being outgunned, Boyd asked. Exactly, Laura nodded, and that doesn't fit their worldview. Commander Collins and his team executed their reconnaissance mission under cover of darkness. Using experimental stealth technology, they approached one of the smaller Draconian ships in low Earth orbit. They didn't board, but their sensors gathered valuable data about the ship's external systems and energy signatures. Their hull contains organic components that interface with their technology, Collins reported after returning safely, and they're generating incredible power, but it's fluctuating in a regular pattern, almost like it's breathing. This information reached Dr. Nichols in Nevada. Breathing? He repeated, staring at the data. That's it. He rushed to his lab, calling his team together. If their technology is partially organic and needs to breathe, then it might be vulnerable to something in our atmosphere or biology. As the deadline approached, Ambassador Krelthak grew increasingly frustrated. He had never spent this much time trying to convince a species to surrender. Usually a single demonstration of draconian power was enough. Perhaps you need to witness our capabilities firsthand, he told the Emergency Council. Supreme Commander Vorgath has authorized a demonstration. We will remove one of your smaller cities tomorrow as an example. Laura Bennett spoke up. Ambassador, before you take such an action, I believe you should understand something about humans. What could I possibly need to understand about a species barely into its space age? Krelthak scoffed. That we've spent most of our history fighting each other, Laura explained. While you've been conquering compliant species, we've been developing the art of warfare against equals. We're not afraid of stronger opponents. In fact, Earth's cultures glorify underdogs who fight against overwhelming odds. The ambassador stared at her. That is irrational. Survival requires logical assessment of superior force. Humans aren't always logical, Laura smiled. And we're at our most dangerous when cornered. As the 30-day deadline neared its end, Earth prepared for the coming storm. But thanks to the work of people like Dr. Wright, Dr. Nichols, Commander Collins, and Laura Bennett, they weren't preparing to surrender. They were preparing to fight back in ways the Draconians would never expect, and the Draconian invasion fleet had no idea what was waiting for them. The news of the Draconian ultimatum spread across Earth like wildfire. But instead of the panic the aliens expected, humanity showed remarkable unity. People lined up to volunteer at military recruitment centers. Scientists shared research freely, across borders. Former enemy nations pooled resources and knowledge. Steve Garcia had been a construction worker in Phoenix before the aliens arrived. Now he supervised a team digging underground shelters. My grandfather fought in wars against other humans, he told his crew as they worked through the night. At least I know what I'm fighting for. In hospitals across the country, medical staff prepared for the worst. Nurse Diane Powell organized training sessions for dealing with unknown injuries. We don't know what their weapons do to human bodies, she explained to a room full of volunteers, but we can be ready to adapt. The secret government facility in Nevada became the center of Earth's scientific resistance. Dr. Greg Nichols hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night since the Draconians arrived. His lab was filled with samples of Earth bacteria, fungi, and viruses. The data from Commander Collins's reconnaissance mission had been invaluable. Look at this, he said to his assistant, pointing at a screen showing a microscopic view of Draconian hull material they'd managed to sample. The organic components respond negatively to this common Earth fungus. It's breaking down the connection between their organic and inorganic systems. Of fungus? His assistant asked. Like a spaceship getting athlete's foot? Something like that, Dr. Nichols nodded. But potentially much more serious for them. Their technology seems to rely on this organic interface. If we disrupt it, he immediately sent his findings to General Boyd at the Pentagon. The general was meeting with military leaders from around the world when the report arrived. This could be our edge, Boyd said, looking up from the report. Their ships might be powerful, but they've never encountered Earth's biology before. Colonel Susan Baker, who led the Air Force's Special Weapons Division, leaned forward. So we weaponize this fungus? Create some kind of delivery system? Exactly, Boyd nodded. And we'll need to coordinate globally. Every nation with aircraft or missiles needs to be part of this. At the Space Center, Dr. Alan Wright and Olivia Martinez made another discovery. The Draconian ships emit a specific energy pattern before they fire their main weapons, Olivia explained, showing the readings to military officials. It's like they're taking a deep breath before they strike. How much warning would that give? Us? Asked one general. About 15 seconds, Alan answered. Not much, but enough to activate countermeasures if we're prepared. Commander Frank Collins and his team prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. They would need to get closer to the Draconian ships, maybe even board one if possible. This isn't just about gathering intel anymore, he told his team during their final briefing. We need samples of their technology, and we need to place delivery systems for Dr. Nichols's fungal agent. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Paul Davis, checked his equipment. So we're going to give an alien spaceship a fungal infection? That's a first. That's why we'll succeed, Collins replied. They won't be expecting biological warfare. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles, not microscopic spores. Meanwhile, Laura Bennett continued her meetings with Ambassador Krelthak. Each conversation revealed more about Draconian psychology and culture. Your people puzzle me, Krelthak admitted during one session. You continue to prepare for war despite knowing you cannot win. Is this a form of mass delusion? We see it differently, Laura explained. Humans have a long history of overcoming seemingly impossible odds. We call it hope. Hope is irrational when facts indicate certain defeat, the ambassador replied. Maybe so, Laura nodded. But it's kept us alive as a species through ice ages, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. What Laura didn't mention was that these conversations were providing critical intelligence. Every reaction, every puzzled expression from Krelthak helped her build a psychological profile of their enemy. One evening, she was approached by a lower-ranking Draconian officer named Zextral, who had accompanied the ambassador to Earth. Your words to Krelthak interest me, Zextral said, looking around nervously. Some among us question the wisdom of this invasion. There's dissent in the Draconian Empire? Laura asked, surprised. The newer colonies resist complete assimilation, Zextral explained. Some believe we should trade with other species, not just conquer them. But Supreme Commander Vorgath represents the old ways. This information went straight to General Boyd. Political division, he mused. Another potential weakness. With only 5 days remaining before the Draconian deadline, Earth's military forces conducted their final preparations. Dr. Nichols' fungal agent had been weaponized and distributed globally. Early warning systems based on Dr. Wright and Olivia Martinez's discoveries were in place. Commander Collins and his team successfully completed their mission, planting delivery systems on several Draconian vessels and returning with samples of alien technology. 2 team members were lost in the process, the first human casualties of the coming war. Their sacrifice won't be forgotten, Collins told his remaining team, and it won't be in vain. The samples they brought back allowed Dr. Nichols to refine his fungal agent further. It's attacking their systems even faster than I predicted, he reported. If we can disperse it throughout their fleet, it could disable their primary weapons within hours. As the deadline approached, tensions reached their peak. Ambassador Krelthak delivered his final warning to Earth's leaders. Your time has expired, he announced. The Draconian fleet will begin its attack in 12 hours. Your resistance has been noted and will be remembered as a historical curiosity after your surrender or extinction. Laura Bennett studied his expression carefully. Ambassador, I have one last question before you return to your fleet. In all your conquests, has the Draconian Empire ever failed? Krelthak's scaled face showed genuine confusion. Of course not. We select our targets carefully and our technological superiority is absolute. Then perhaps that's why you don't understand humans, Laura replied. We've learned our most important lessons from failure. It's taught us resilience you can't imagine. As Krelthak departed Earth for the safety of the Draconian fleet, emergency broadcasts instructed civilians worldwide to seek shelter. Military forces moved into position. Scientists made final adjustments to their countermeasures. In the Nevada facility, Dr. Nichols watched as the fungal agent was loaded onto the last delivery missiles. Do you think this will work? His assistant asked nervously. It has to, he replied simply. At the Pentagon, General Boyd addressed the combined military command. Today we fight not just for our own nations, but for humanity itself. The Draconians expect an easy victory. Let's show them how wrong they are. As the first Draconian ships moved into attack position, Earth held its breath and prepared to defy all expectations. The sky turned blood red as the Draconian fleet moved into attack position. Massive ships blocked out the sun in many parts of the world. People huddled in shelters, watching emergency broadcasts that showed the alien vessels hovering over major cities. The first attack came without warning. Energy beams struck Earth's orbital defense satellites, destroying them in seconds. The space stations that had been hastily armed were the next targets, erupting into balls of flame visible from the ground. In the Pentagon War Room, General Boyd watched grimly as the first wave of Draconian fighters entered Earth's atmosphere. They're starting with our military bases, an analyst reported. Just as we predicted. Boyd nodded. Activate defensive pattern alpha. Let's see if Dr. Wright's early warning system works. Around the world, military forces had been positioned according to Colonel Susan Baker's guerrilla defense plan. Instead of massing forces in obvious locations, Earth's militaries had scattered into smaller, more mobile units. As Draconian ships approached military bases, they found them nearly empty. Energy signature detected, called out a technician at a hidden base in Colorado. Weapon charging. Countermeasures now, ordered Colonel Baker. Special mirrors designed by Dr. Wright's team deployed around the base, reflecting the Draconian energy beam back into the atmosphere. The beam dispersed, causing minimal damage. It worked, someone shouted. The mirror defense worked, but not all bases were so lucky. Draconian weapons devastated military installations across Asia and Europe. The aliens' technology was indeed formidable, just as they had warned. Supreme Commander Vorgath observed the first wave of attacks from his flagship. Resistance is higher than anticipated, he noted to his officers, but still within acceptable parameters. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vexilor, looked troubled. The humans are using unusual tactics. Their forces are dispersed rather than concentrated. A futile delay tactic, Vorgath dismissed. Prepare the second wave. Target their power infrastructure next. What the Draconians didn't know was that Commander Collins and his Special Forces team had successfully infiltrated a secondary Draconian vessel during the confusion of the first attack. Moving silently through the organic mechanical corridors, they planted Dr. Nichols' fungal agents at key points. Remember, Collins whispered to his team, these need to be placed where the organic components interface with their technology. Lieutenant Davis nodded, carefully attaching a small device to a pulsing wall that seemed almost alive, like their ship's nervous system. Exactly, Collins confirmed. Once activated, the fungus will spread through these connections. Back at the Nevada facility, Dr. Nichols monitored the deployment of his biological weapon. The fungal agents are in place on 17 ships, he reported to General Boyd. We need to activate them simultaneously for maximum effect. Wait for my signal, Boyd replied. We need to coordinate this with Colonel Baker's counterattack. Across the globe, the second wave of Draconian attacks targeted power plants, dams, and energy facilities. Cities went dark as power grids failed. But this too had been anticipated. Many critical systems had been moved to backup generators hidden underground. In Switzerland, Laura Bennett maintained contact with Zextrol, the lower-ranking Draconian officer who had expressed doubts about the invasion. "Your people fight with unexpected skill," Zextrol admitted during a secret communication. "Some officers are questioning Vorgath's tactics. The longer we resist, the more these doubts will grow," Laura suggested. "Especially if your weapons aren't as effective as promised." Zextrol's vertical pupils widened slightly. "What do you mean?" Laura chose her words carefully. "War rarely goes exactly as planned, even for the Draconian Empire." This conversation, like all others, was immediately relayed to General Boyd. The psychological warfare was as important as the physical battle. 24 hours into the invasion, Earth had suffered severe damage. Millions were without power. Key military bases had been destroyed. But the human resistance was far stronger than the Draconians had calculated. Colonel Baker's forces executed hit-and-run attacks on Draconian landing parties. Fighter jets using Dr. Wright's detection system managed to avoid the aliens' energy weapons long enough to fire missiles at vulnerable points on their ships. "They expected us to mass our forces for a final stand," Baker explained during an emergency briefing. "Instead, we're fighting like ants against an elephant." "And how does that help us?" someone asked. "One ant can't hurt an elephant," Baker replied. "But 1,000 ants, getting into its eyes, ears, and trunk? That's another story." In orbit, Commander Collins and his team completed their mission and began their dangerous extraction. Not all would make it back. Lieutenant Davis provided cover as the others headed for their stealth craft. "Go! I'll hold them here," Davis shouted as Draconian security forces closed in. Collins hesitated but knew the mission came first. "Your sacrifice won't be forgotten, Paul." As Collins and the surviving team members escaped, Lieutenant Davis triggered his final charges, creating enough confusion for their getaway. He was captured rather than killed, the first human prisoner taken by the Draconians. When Commander Collins returned to Earth, he brought crucial information along with the pain of leaving a man behind. Their internal security was focused on energy weapons and physical barriers, he reported. They have almost no defense against biological infiltration. General Boyd nodded grimly. "Then it's time." He opened a secure channel to Dr. Nichols. "Activate the fungal agents, all of them." Across the Draconian fleet, the tiny devices planted by Collins's team and delivered via missiles during the counterattacks released their payload. The specially engineered fungus began to grow, spreading rapidly through the organic components that interfaced with Draconian technology. At first, the effects were subtle. Minor systems malfunctioned. Energy weapons misfired. Communications became garbled. But as the fungus spread, the problems multiplied. On the Draconian flagship, Supreme Commander Vorgath received increasingly disturbing reports. "Multiple ships, reporting system failures," Sub-Commander Vexlor announced. "Engineering cannot identify the cause." "Impossible," Vorgath hissed. "Our technology is superior in every way." "Nevertheless," Vexlor insisted, "ships in sectors 3, 5, and 8 are experiencing critical failures. Weapon systems are offline." Vorgath slammed his scaled fist on a control panel. "Launch the third wave immediately. We will crush this resistance before these malfunctions spread." But the third wave never launched. As the fungus reached critical mass within the Draconian fleet, primary systems began to fail completely. Ships that should have been attacking Earth instead struggled to maintain basic life support. On Earth, Colonel Baker received the signal she'd been waiting for. "All units, this is Eagle 1. Operation Thunderstrike is a go. Repeat, Thunderstrike is a go." Around the world, Earth's remaining military forces emerged from hiding. Fighter jets took to the skies. Missile launchers targeted the now vulnerable Draconian ships. The counterattack had begun, and for the first time since the invasion started, humanity had a real chance. The Draconian flagship shuddered as another system failed. Warning lights flashed across control panels. The air smelled different, almost musty. Supreme Commander Vorgath glared at his officers as they struggled to explain what was happening. Is some kind of biological agent, reported the science officer, his scales turning pale with stress. It is attacking the organic components of our systems. Impossible, Vorgath hissed. No primitive species could develop a weapon that targets our technology so precisely. And yet, Sub-Commander Vexilor said quietly, the evidence suggests otherwise. In the lower decks of the flagship, the captured Lieutenant Davis was surprised when the energy field of his cell flickered and died. The Draconian guards were distracted, coughing and scratching at their scales. Davis didn't waste the opportunity. He slipped out of the detention area and made his way through the ship, gathering intelligence as he went. He wasn't the only one taking advantage of the Draconians' confusion. On 17 other ships where Commander Collins's team had planted the fungal agent, similar scenes played out. Systems failed, Draconians fell ill, and Earth prepared to press its advantage. General Boyd coordinated the global counterattack from Ito, the Pentagon. All squadrons focus on the ships showing signs of system failure, he ordered. Conventional weapons may be effective now that their shields are compromised. Colonel Baker led the American Air Forces personally. Her fighter squadron approached a massive Draconian ship that was listing in the sky, its engines sputtering. Target engines and weapon ports, she commanded her pilots. Fire at will. Missiles streaked toward the alien vessel. In normal circumstances, they would have been intercepted or bounced off advanced shields. But now they struck home. Explosions ripped through the Draconian ship. It tilted further, then began a slow descent toward the unpopulated Nevada desert. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Chinese fighters attacked Draconian ships over the Pacific. European forces coordinated strikes against aliens hovering over their continent. For the first time, human weapons were causing real damage. In the Nevada research facility, Dr. Nichols monitored the spread of his fungal agent through the Draconian fleet. It's exceeding our projections, he told his team excitedly. The spores are transferring from ship to ship through their communication systems. His assistant pointed to a screen showing the flagship, but their central command seems more resistant. They must have better filtration, Nichols nodded. We need to increase the concentration there. He immediately contacted General Boyd. The flagship needs a direct application of the agent. Their filters are managing to keep it at bay. Boyd understood the implication. We need another infiltration mission. He hesitated, knowing the danger involved. Get me Commander Collins. Collins had barely recovered from his previous mission. His team was down to half strength. But when Boyd explained the situation, he didn't hesitate. We'll do it, sir. My team is ready. There's something else, Boyd added. Our sensors indicate Lieutenant Davis is still alive on the flagship. If possible, we'll bring him home, Collins promised. While the military pressed its attack, Laura Bennett implemented the psychological warfare component of Earth's defense. Using information from her conversations with Zextral, she crafted messages targeting the Draconian command structure. Attention Draconian officers, her broadcast began, transmitted on frequencies the aliens used for internal communication. Your Supreme Commander has led you into a trap. The humans you dismissed as primitive have disabled your fleet with a biological agent your filtration cannot stop. Lower-ranking ships are being sacrificed while command protects itself. On ships, throughout the fleet, Draconian officers heard these messages. Seeds of doubt planted by Zextral began to grow. The strict hierarchy that had always been the Empire's strength now became a weakness. Zextral himself had gathered supporters. Many younger officers and those from recently conquered worlds saw the human resistance as proof that the Empire's tactics needed to change. Vorgath's approach has failed, Zextral told his allies on a secure channel. The humans have proven more resourceful than any species we've encountered. We should withdraw and reassess. That would break centuries of tradition, objected one officer. The Empire never retreats. Then perhaps, Zextral replied, it is time for new traditions. As this internal conflict brewed, Commander Collins led his team on their most dangerous mission yet. Using a captured Draconian shuttle and the confusion of battle as cover, they approached the flagship. Remember, Collins told his team, our primary objective is to plant the concentrated fungal agent at the central air filtration system. Finding Lieutenant Davis is secondary, but important. They docked at a maintenance port where the flagship's defenses were weakest. The team moved quickly through corridors where Draconians rushed to address failing systems. Few paid attention to another group in environmental suits. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Davis had been busy, using skills honed through years of special forces training. He had accessed a terminal and downloaded critical information about Draconian fleet communications. He was making his way toward the shuttle bay when he encountered Commander Collins's team. "Lieutenant," Collins said with surprise and relief. "Looks like we don't need to rescue you after all." "Good to see you too, sir," Davis grinned. "I've got something you'll want to see." He held up a small device containing the stolen data. "Perfect," Collins nodded. "Now help us plant this package and we can all go home." Together they reached the central filtration system. As they planted the concentrated fungal agent, alarms blared throughout the ship. They had been discovered. "Run," Collins ordered. "Back to the shuttle. Move." They fought their way through Draconian security forces using captured weapons and their knowledge of the ship's compromised systems. Not all would make it back. 2 more team members fell covering the retreat. But Collins, Davis, and the others reached the shuttle and disengaged from the flagship. As they sped away, they saw the concentrated fungal agent taking effect. The flagship's lights flickered. Its massive engines sputtered and failed. Most importantly, its advanced weapons systems went offline. On the bridge of the flagship, chaos reigned. Supreme Commander Vorgath struggled to maintain control as systems failed around him. "We must retreat and decontaminate," urged Sub-Commander Vexilor. "The biological agent has reached critical levels." "The Draconian Empire does not retreat," Vorgath roared. At that moment, Zextral and his supporters entered the bridge. "The Empire must adapt or die, Commander," he stated firmly. "You have led us to disaster through arrogance." As internal power struggles consumed the Draconian command, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. Ship after ship fell or retreated under the combined assault of the fungal agent and conventional weapons. For the first time since the Draconians arrived, victory seemed possible. Humanity had found the enemy's weakness and exploited it perfectly. The seemingly invincible invasion force was crumbling from within and without. The tide had turned. The turning point had arrived. The once mighty Draconian fleet hung in Earth's skies like wounded animals. Ships drifted aimlessly or struggled to maintain position. Their fearsome weapons, capable of destroying entire cities, now sputtered and failed. The fungal agent had spread throughout the invasion force, attacking both their technology and the Draconians themselves. On the flagship's bridge, the power struggle reached its climax. Zextral and his supporters faced Supreme Commander Vorgath across the command center. "You have failed the Empire," Zextral declared. "Your arrogance has cost us ships' lives and honor." Vorgath's scales darkened with rage. "You speak of treason. The Empire has never retreated, never surrendered." "The Empire has never faced humans before," Zextral countered. "They are unlike any species we have encountered. They should be studied, not exterminated." Around them, more systems failed as the concentrated fungal agent spread through the flagship's vital systems. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow across the bridge. "I relieve you of command," Zextral announced, as more officers moved to stand behind him. "By the ancient laws of succession, when a commander proves unfit, his second may take control to preserve the fleet." Vorgath reached for his weapon, but found his arm wouldn't respond properly. The fungal infection had reached his environmental suit, affecting his own biology. He slumped in his command chair, defeated by an enemy he had so thoroughly underestimated. On Earth, General Boyd received the transmission from the Draconian fleet. "This is Acting Commander Zextral of the Draconian Empire," the message began. "We request immediate cessation of hostilities and terms for our withdrawal from your solar system." A cheer erupted through the Pentagon Command Center. Boyd raised his hand for silence. "This isn't over yet," he cautioned. "Patch me through to Laura Bennett." Laura had been monitoring the situation from the diplomatic center in Switzerland. I recommend we accept their request, she told Boyd. With conditions that protect Earth's interests. Can we trust them? Boyd asked. Zextral represents a progressive faction, Laura explained. Based on my interactions, I believe he genuinely wants to avoid further conflict. Plus, their fleet is severely compromised. They need this agreement as much as we do. Boyd nodded. Set up the meeting. I want you, Commander Collins, and Lieutenant Davis there. They've earned it. The meeting took place aboard a neutral vessel in Earth orbit. Zextral arrived with Sub-Commander Vexler and a small delegation. Earth was represented by Laura Bennett, Commander Collins, Lieutenant Davis, and diplomatic officials from major nations. Your species has accomplished what no other has done, Zextral began. You have defeated a Draconian invasion force. Through necessity, Laura replied calmly. We prefer peace to war. As do some of us, Zextral admitted. These events have exposed flaws in our Empire's approach. We have grown complacent in our technological superiority. Commander Collins spoke up. And what guarantee do we have that you won't return with an even larger force once you've developed countermeasures to our defenses? A fair question, Zextral acknowledged. I propose a treaty. The Draconian Empire will recognize Earth as a sovereign and protected world. In exchange, you will provide the antidote to the biological agent affecting our fleet. You assume we have an antidote, Lieutenant Davis said. I assume humans plan thoroughly, Zextral replied. You would not deploy a weapon you could not control. He was right. Dr. Nichols had developed a counter-agent alongside the fungal weapon. It had been a precaution in case the fungus spread beyond the Draconian fleet. The negotiations continued for hours, but eventually, terms were agreed upon. The Draconians would withdraw from the solar system. Earth would remain independent, and contact between humans and the Draconian Empire would be limited to diplomatic channels. Most importantly, both sides recognized the other's capacity for both destruction and cooperation. As the Draconian delegation prepared to return to their ships, Zextral approached Laura privately. Your species is remarkable, he said. In 300 years of conquest, I have never seen such adaptation and resourcefulness. We've had plenty of practice, Laura replied, most of it fighting each other. Then perhaps the stars should be grateful we arrived to give you a common enemy, Zextral observed with what might have been a smile. The counteragent was delivered to the Draconian fleet, and within days their systems began to recover. One by one, the massive ships lifted away from Earth and moved toward the outer solar system. Some remained damaged beyond repair and were abandoned, their crews evacuated to functional vessels. On Earth, the cleanup and rebuilding began. The damage had been severe but not catastrophic. More importantly, the invasion had united humanity as never before. Former enemies worked side by side to repair infrastructure and develop new technologies based on what they had learned from the Draconians. At the Nevada facility, Dr. Nichols and his team studied the alien technology salvaged from abandoned ships. This could advance our science by centuries, he told Dr. Wright and Olivia Martinez, who had joined his research group. The organic interface is the key, Olivia noted, examining a piece of Draconian equipment. It's like they evolved, their technology alongside their biology, and that was both their strength and their weakness, Dr. Wright added. 6 months after the invasion, General Boyd met with world leaders to discuss the formation of a unified Earth Defense Force. The old national rivalries hadn't disappeared entirely, but they had been put aside in recognition of a larger truth. Earth was not alone in the universe, and not all alien species would be as vulnerable as the Draconians had proven to be. We got lucky this time, Boyd told the assembly. The next visitors might not have such convenient weaknesses. We need to be ready. Laura Bennett, now heading the newly formed Xenological Relations Department, agreed. The Draconians won't be the last aliens we encounter. According to Zextral, there are hundreds of spacefaring species in our galaxy alone. Commander Collins and Lieutenant Davis were given command of the first human ships built using reverse-engineered Draconian technology. The vessels were smaller than their alien counterparts but incorporated human ingenuity with alien advancement. Ready for our first patrol, Lieutenant? Collins asked as they prepared for launch. Ready, sir, Davis replied with a grin. Though I still can't believe we beat an alien invasion with what amounts to a bad case of athlete's foot. 1 year after the invasion, the first human faster-than-light ship was completed. Named the Defiance, it incorporated the best of human and salvaged Draconian technology. Its mission: to explore beyond the solar system and establish peaceful contact with other civilizations. As the Defiance prepared for its maiden voyage, news spread throughout nearby star systems. The supposedly primitive humans had defeated the mighty Draconian Empire. Other species, long intimidated by Draconian power, now looked toward Earth with interest and respect. Some even sent cautious messages of greeting and offers of trade. Earth had earned its place among the stars not through conquest or submission, but through unexpected resistance, ingenuity, and the remarkable ability to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Humanity had defied all expectations, and the universe had noticed.